Please join me in welcoming the Coeur d'Alene firefighters, pipes and drums, and honor guard.
Mark time. March. Forward.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our land. Mark time. March. Forward. March.
Well, good morning. It's great to be here today for my, believe it or not, my 5th State of the City address. And I was just talking to my wife yesterday. I said, I wonder how many people remember anything I said in the previous 4 State of the City. Is there anything memorable? Probably not. But if I would have come up here and if I would have tripped over the step and fallen on my face, you would have remembered the 5th one. So we have had a very busy year in 2018, and we have really some great things coming forward in 2019, and some really exciting times to live in the city of Coeur d'Alene. So what is the state of the city of Coeur d'Alene? Let's take a look. So that is the place that we live. It's really a beautiful area. It's why people want to live here. It's why we live here. I wanted to give a huge thank you to Tevo Orjala of Fix Focus Media for this outstanding video. Tevo really did a great job of putting that together, and I think it's really reflective of the beauty of our area. And it's an area that I would call paradise. However, I think we all realize that a brick and mortar building doesn't make a business. A house doesn't make a family. A beautiful lake, mountains, trees, and parks don't make a community. You do. The people do. The soul of our community is you, your friends, your neighbors. That's what makes Coeur d'Alene a special place. We answer the call and support those that are in need, and we volunteer at our schools, our churches, city committees, the Chamber of Commerce, and our local charities and our nonprofits. We also are a community that understands that our future is our young people. And I want to echo Dr. Cook's message in that I would ask you to vote yes on our school levy in March. You've done it many times in the past. Coeur d'Alene has been very supportive of our education, and it's very, very important because they are the ones that are going to shape our city in the future. So again, I encourage you to really study the levy issue and vote yes to support our children. So we live in a very vibrant community, and it's, again, because of you. And we're going to be in a little stage, what I call the applause section. So let's start out by giving yourself a big round of applause. So I would like to acknowledge the Coeur d'Alene City Council. It's really a great group of people, work very hard for the city of Coeur d'Alene. We have Council President Woody McEvers, Kiki Miller, Dan Gookin, Amy Evans, Dan English, and Ron Edinger, who is completing his 50th year of service as a mayor or councilman in 2019. And let's give our council a round of applause. So I'd like to acknowledge all of our department heads, and as I call your name, if you would stand and remain standing. We have Lee White, our police chief, Kenny Gabriel, fire chief, Tim Martin, Streets and Engineering Director, Terry Pickle, Water Superintendent, Mike Anderson, Wastewater Superintendent, Bill Greenwood, Parks and Recreation Director, Melissa Tosi, Human Resources Director. We have Hilary Anderson, our Community Planning Director, Ted Lancy, our Building Official, Renata McLeod, Municipal Services Director, Mike Gridley, City Attorney, Bonnie Jensen, Comptroller, and the one that corrals all of these folks and moves them in the right direction, Troy Tymason, our City Administrator. And so let's give all of them a big round of applause. So in the back of the house, there's always someone that really does a lot of the work and pulls all of this together and really makes things happen and makes us look good, makes Troy and I look good, as hard as that is sometimes. And I just have to give a shout out to probably the best executive assistant in Kootenai County and maybe in the Northwest. I don't know, Amy Ferguson. Just thank you very much. So I want to thank all the boards, commissions, and committees, and all of the volunteers that give many hours of their time and talents to make our community great. I'm going to list off of these, and maybe there's one that strikes an interest of you that are not on a committee. We have the Arts Commission, the CDA TV Committee, Child Care Commission, Design Review Commission, Ignite CDA, Jewett House Advisory Board, the Library Board, Parking Commission, Parks and Recreation Committee, the Ped Bike Advisory Committee, Personal Appeals Board, the Planning Commission, and the Urban Forestry Committee. I want to thank all of those volunteers, and if you have not volunteered or been part of that and wish to get in contact with the city, we would love to have you as part of any of those committees. The employees of the City of Coeur d'Alene are represented by a union and 2 associations, and this past year we had to negotiate all 3 of those contracts. And it took a lot of hard work, but we reached agreements that showed that we value the work of all of our employees, and the contracts were good for our taxpayers. And I want to acknowledge the three leaders of those groups. Eric Paul is the president of the International Association of Firefighter Unions, Local 710. Johann Schmitz, the president of the Coeur d'Alene Police Association, and Nick Goodwin, who is the president of the Lake City Employees Association. I want to thank you for your leadership and professionalism, and I'd like to give those gentlemen a round of applause. So as mayor, I get a lot of communication from people. And in this particular one, I tried to explain the importance of public art to this one individual, and he wasn't having any of it. He was accusing me of being a member of the elite. And part of his comments, he says, as for the elite, got a mirror, you joined their club. Now you have their attitude. It's frankly not a pretty look for you. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'm a member of the elite by who I associate with. I'm going to let you be the judge. So there's someone that is a very, very close friend of mine. I talk to him daily. We discuss many issues, and he's a great source of advice and information. And I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe, he has made me a member of the elite. So you guys be the judge. So Terry Cooper couldn't be here today. If those of you know Terry Cooper, the Downtown Association, next time you see him, ask him how it is to be a member of the elite club. So I want to talk about a couple of great road projects that we have completed in 2018. And I know that they were very painful at times, but I think the improvements are substantial. The city continues to improve and upgrade Government Way this year from Hanley Avenue to Prairie Avenue, working in partnership with the City of Hayden, the Lakes Highway District, and the City of Dalton Gardens. The project included reconstruction of 1 mile of 2-lane roadway into 4 lanes with a center turn lane, bike lanes, sidewalks, improved lighting, new signals at Canfield, Wilbur, and Prairie, and improvements to the stormwater collection. The Celtice Way Improvement Project is also substantially complete with just a few punch list items remaining. This is another great example of partnerships with the Post Falls Highway District, the Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board, and our Urban Renewal Agency, Ignite, that provided the $4.5 million to fund this project. The Celtice Way project reconstructed 1.5 miles of the old State Highway 10 concrete roadway with 2 multi-lane roundabouts, buffered bike lanes, and a 12-foot shared use path. The project also included crushing and reusing existing concrete in the roadway, creating bus stop shelters, the addition of crosswalk beacons, and landscaping at the roundabouts. And I think anyone that has driven that area before and drives it now can see what a substantial improvement that has been. And we just learned that Welsh Comer engineers placed first place in the transportation category of the 2018 Idaho Engineering Excellence Awards for the design of Celtice Way. So I want to say congratulations to Welsh Comer on this recognition of winning an award for the design of this incredible roadway. In 2019, we will do a project that is very close to my heart. Starting in the summer of 1966, I spent many great days playing baseball at Memorial Field. Now remember that I said great days, I didn't say anything about great baseball, right? As a matter of fact, this person was the Memorial Field supervisor in 1966. Quite a batting stance there. And so here he is today, Charlie Knipp. And I still remember Charlie and teaching everyone baseball, and he was just a wonderful guy and is a wonderful guy today. So this old grandstand will undergo a major renovation to preserve it for many years to come. The improvements to the grandstand will include new restrooms, locker rooms, dugouts, and concessions, thanks to $1 million in funding again from Ignite Coeur d'Alene. And I think that you've heard before the funding that Ignite provided for Celtice Way and the importance of our Urban Renewal Agency in Coeur d'Alene. And this project was also made possible by $150,000 from North Idaho College. And the construction of these improvements will begin in February with estimated completion in September. I always like to talk about construction stats. And 2018 proved to be another very strong year for construction in Coeur d'Alene. There were 244 single-family permits issued, which was a very solid year as far as permits go. But the value of this came in at $56 million, which was a record for the average value of a permit at $229,500. In multifamily, there were 23 multifamily permits issued at a total value of $29.8 million. The big project is a 288-unit project in Coeur d'Alene Place with a value of over $20 million. On the commercial side, we saw 35 permits for a record value of $55.7 million. Two major projects are the One Lakeside project in downtown Coeur d'Alene for $20 million and the Staybridge Hotel in Riverstone, which was valued at $10 million. Overall, new construction was valued at $146 million for the year 2018, which was a record for dollar volume for the City of Coeur d'Alene by almost $20 million. Another outstanding year for the construction industry in 2018, and 2019 looks to be very strong as well. So today, we are here to honor outstanding women leaders, and I want to recognize one that we have here today. Deanna Lee Goodlander was born and raised in the city of Coeur d'Alene. Her father, Orrin E. Lee, was the first president of North Idaho College, and Lee Hall on the campus of North Idaho College is named after him. She attended NIC, the University of Idaho, and graduated from Boise State University, an interesting concept because that's a combination of a Vandal and a Bronco. I don't know exactly how that works, but she graduated with a degree in communications. She has owned and operated several businesses in Coeur d'Alene. She is a JC International Senator, the first woman so honored in Idaho, and is a past JCI Senate President. Deanna is a Chamber of Commerce Commodore and was recognized in 1992 as Citizen of the Year by the Coeur d'Alene Chamber of Commerce. She is currently chairman of the board of the Lake City Senior Center. She served on the Coeur d'Alene City Council from 1998 to 2013. She's currently a member of the Coeur d'Alene City Arts Commission, and Deanna just completed 18 years on the Ignite Board of Directors. She's just a wonderful lady. I'm really glad I've gotten to work with her. Let's give Deanna a big round of applause. So in our lives, women play the most important role. Particularly in my life, 6 women have shaped my life and who I am. My mother taught me that the only way to be successful was through your own work. She insisted upon personal responsibility, and she was tough. My 2 daughters taught me to be kinder, more understanding, and to be more patient. A good preparation for being mayor is to raise twin daughters. My daughter-in-law Lindsay and granddaughter Quinn bring so much joy to my life. My wife Marie has been beside me through all the ups and downs that life brings, and she is directly responsible for all the positive things in my life over the past 32 years, and I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for her. The women in my life bring great happiness to me. Today, I want to highlight 4 great women leaders in our community: Gynii Gilliam, Hilary Anderson, Kiki Miller, and Amy Evans. They help lead us in areas of jobs, planning, economic development, and city government, and it's an honor for me to work with them. Leadership is not easy, and not everyone goes down that path. Steve Jobs said about leadership, if you want to make everyone happy, don't be a leader, sell ice cream. So I'd like to introduce our first speaker today. Gynii Gilliam is the president and CEO of the Coeur d'Alene Area Economic Development Corporation, Jobs Plus. She was a graduate fellow at the University of Michigan, where she received her master's in urban and regional planning, and a California State Scholar at UCLA, where she received her bachelor's of arts in political science. Gynii joined Jobs Plus in March of 2015, and since then has led the local team that has helped bring over 2,000 direct jobs and over $150 million in capital investment to the county. Prior to Jobs Plus, she served as a Chief Economic Development Officer for the Idaho Department of Commerce. Gynii has over 25 years of experience in the field in both private and public sectors. Please welcome Gynii Gilliam.
Good morning. And Mayor, thank you for giving me the opportunity to give everyone an update of the state of economic development in our community. 2018 was an excellent year. And the reason we were in the national spotlight as one of the top growth areas in the United States. This morning, I'll briefly highlight our growth indicators and the economic impact of our joint efforts for the region. The Coeur d'Alene Area EDC is the economic development arm of the city. Our charge is to help build a strong economy in the county by helping diversify the economic base and by providing the resources that both existing and new businesses need to either expand or establish a presence in our region. Lately, we've also been actively working with our partners in education, labor, and local employment agencies to address talent development during these times of low unemployment. Our resource-based industries, including tourism and recreation, will always play a significant role in our economy while we actively grow others to diversify our base. For example, we want to grow aerospace and aviation because of our proximity to Seattle, the global capital for aerospace, information technology, because any growth industry in the coast tends to have a positive secondary effect on us. Distribution and warehousing, because of our transportation logistics, powered by the explosive population growth in the Northwest and the Southwest Canadian provinces. Health industry, because of several factors, including supporting our various hospitals' efforts in retaining local activity and making us a destination for regional services. Overall growth, of course, and the aging population also plays a role in growing this industry. This slide and the next two slides show our growth indicators. Our economy grew 13% to $5.4 billion between 2013 and 2017, accounting for 7.5% of our state's $73 billion economy. In the last 2 decades, we've increasingly become more diversified. That's a very good thing, with each of our 5 key industry groupings accounting for roughly 18 to 20%, so 1/5 of our local economy. As examples, $1.2 billion, about 22% from manufacturing and production. $1 billion, about 20%, from professional services, including the health industry. $1.1 billion, about 21% from construction, finance, insurance, and real estate. The goal is to be even more diversified within each of these industry groupings because that gives us better resiliency during economic fluctuations. 2007 recession reflects that. Although certain sectors took a big hit, the overall loss to our economy was not devastating as it was in some areas that relied solely on one industry, whether it's the auto industry, real estate, mining, or tourism. Job growth was extremely strong. At nearly 14% growth, we outpaced the nation by 6.5%. So thank you to our small and large businesses. Each of our key industry groupings added jobs, ranging from a low of 3% in agriculture to a high of 35% in construction. The highest number is the 2,600 new jobs in tourism-related activity, who, as an aside, we've heard repeatedly, do such a terrific job training our workforce in customer service that many qualify for professional technical positions because of their excellent people skills. So thank you. Earnings also showed growth in every sector with our target industries of advanced manufacturing, health, and technology averaging around $48,000 a year and higher, helping put our families closer to livable wages. Median household income rose 15% from $38,000 a year in 2000 to $53,000 a year in 2017. So bottom line, our economy is growing, we're becoming more diverse, businesses are creating jobs, and wages are rising. The catch, there's always a catch, wage increases barely kept up with the rate of inflation. Something we're monitoring very closely and addressing by targeting growth in the higher wage industries. Our partnerships play a pivotal role in the economic success of our region. Our role is to be the hub that connects businesses to each of these resources to create a one-stop shop. It takes a whole village to build a strong economy, and we've heard repeatedly from businesses and site selectors to come to our region that they love that we function as one community, working together to secure the project wherever it ends up in Kootenai County or North Idaho. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 800 plus jobs were created in 2018 in our area. Based on our internal project list, our partnerships and us had a direct hand in about 400 of those jobs. Together, these businesses invested $15.3 million in new taxable dollars in our region and created $18 million in new annual payroll for our residents. Combined with the other 400 jobs created by the hospitals, the medical centers, the hospitality industry, other local businesses, including residential and commercial developers, as the mayor showed, the economic impact of 2018's growth is far greater. The future looks good for our one community. The numbers show not only excellent past and present activities, but positive trends for the future, including accounting for the dips in the economy that are inevitable. So thank you to our community and business leaders for their continued vision in strengthening our community. And again, thank you to all of you for the opportunity to share this update. So our next speaker, okay. As Community Planning Director, Hilary has been leading Coeur d'Alene's planning efforts since November 2014, with a focus on placemaking, economic development, and community engagement. Prior to that, Hilary was the Planning and Economic Development Manager for the City of Post Falls for 3.5 years and worked as a planning consultant throughout the West for 13 years. Hilary is an active member of the American Planning Association and Urban Land Institute and has served on several regional boards and committees focused on economic development. She currently serves on the APA Idaho Board of Directors and the Board of Directors for CDA 2030, the Greater Coeur d'Alene Community Visioning Organization. Hilary holds a master's in planning and BA in psychology from the University of Arizona. Even though she has more than 20 years of experience working as a professional planner, Hilary is most proud of the work she has done to date on East Sherman and is excited about the future of the Atlas waterfront site. Thank you.
Thank you, Gynii, and good morning, everyone. What a pleasure to be here today and to be recognized as a woman leader in this great community of Coeur d'Alene. So it's no surprise that the top story in our area in 2018 was related to growth and development, as you can see here on these headlines on the screen. So regionally, the U.S. Census caught the attention of the inlander, who wrote a story in 2018 about the population growth in North Idaho. It was entitled, "In North Idaho, Leaders Brace for Rapid Population Growth." And they noted that Coeur d'Alene is the fastest growing metro area in the fastest growing state in the nation. This is largely attributed to the in-migration that we've been having from California and other Western states. We also caught some national attention. The Wall Street Journal called to write a story about growth in Coeur d'Alene, and particularly about the influx of the retirees. U.S. Census data showed that Coeur d'Alene was having double-digit population growth of retirees particularly, and that we shot up to become the 5th fastest growing metro area. Locally, the Coeur d'Alene Area EDC also wrote something in their newsletter. So obviously there's a trend here. We're seeing a lot of interest in what's happening in our area with growth and development. Particularly for EDC, it's important to note that there was a 12% increase in both population and in job growth between 2012 and 2018. And that really makes for a healthy economy and for a business-friendly region. So we're proud of that. So a little bit more about, again, what's at the local level? What have we been seeing? The mayor showed some of the slides on the building permits, so we know that there has been a lot of development in the city and in the county. So on the books currently in the city of Coeur d'Alene, we have about 1,200 total units. So if those were all built out right now, and those are basically approved subdivisions, platted lots, and building permits that have been pulled. So if those all developed at the same time, we'd have an increase of 3,000 additional people coming to our community. So that is quite significant, and that is consistent with the population growth that we have in the city of Coeur d'Alene, which is close to 2.5%, sometimes closer to 3%. That is less than we're seeing in our neighboring cities and in the county, but collectively, as you saw, I mean, we are having some significant growth. And while our numbers aren't huge, the values are, and the level of the projects are very large. So it is keeping staff very busy, and it's exciting to see this type of development happening. Of course, it also creates some growing pains. As you can see, I'll show you kind of on the next few slides, but before we go to that, just, in general, a lot of the development is along Prairie and along Ramsey. And so people are really just looking for where are those areas that haven't been developed yet, doing annexations, bringing it into the city, and then doing some new development projects or building out some already previously planned developments. The influx of retirees is impacting kind of what does the community look like, so the composition of our community members. So we are having more people that are 55 and older, and the growth of our working population is not keeping pace with that. So that is going to be a challenge as we move forward, and that also will call into question challenges with affordability of housing for our workforce. So on this next slide, you can see, single-family development projects that are on the books. So the kind of the light pink areas, those are the projects that are, as I mentioned, are either approved subdivisions with platted lots, and we've also had some building permits pulled. So about 480 total units, about 1,200 people that equates to. On the next slide, you'll see on the multifamily side, about 753 units, and that equates to 1,800 or so additional people. Again, largely along Ramsey for the multifamily projects, as well as some on Appleway and some in around the downtown and the East Sherman area. So now I will state the obvious. Growth is inevitable. So what do we do about it? And one thing I think it's important to note is growth is really critical for a city. So if you're not growing, you're dying. But obviously that causes some growing pains, as I mentioned. And I know that some of you that are longtime community members don't like seeing some of the growth and the traffic gridlock and all the other things, as well as people that have escaped more congested communities to come here. They're hoping for some reprieve, and then this last summer with all the transportation projects and all the construction activity, it definitely creates a challenge. So one thing that we saw kind of at the local level, the press, and Steve Cameron in his series wrote a 3-part series on growth. And this is really triggered by a survey that was done by the Coeur d'Alene Press, as well as a bunch of emails and Facebook posts and letters that were coming in saying, what is the deal? Clearly, nobody in the cities or the county is doing anything for planning. Would you guys please, start doing something already? So that was kind of the first part of the series. Second part of the series was talking about what is happening. So clearly, we are doing some things. KMPO is working with the cities and the county and ITD on some transportation projects. And then the third part was really talking about what are the implications. So growth, there are some positive things that come out of growth. And then there's also some realities. So we can't really just go out and do a moratorium and stop growth altogether. You'd have to not have available water, sewer services. It'd have to be completely inconsistent with your comprehensive plan and your codes. And there are inherent property rights that people have if you're in a city and you have access to services. So those are things that I think were importantly noted in his article. So speaking of Steve Cameron, Steve, are you here today? If so, raise your hand. All right, well, I want to address the elephant in the room. I'm sure that many of you saw the article where Steve called me out and basically asked me and challenged me to start doing something. I need to earn my money. So, well, Steve, I saw this. So I do want to assure you, Sammy the cat, and the rest of you, that I am working closely with other members of my team, the other city departments, CDA 2030, other organizations, and other community groups to proactively plan for growth. We do actually work with property owners when they have a development idea. We talk to them about, how could they maybe modify it slightly to make it fit a little bit better with surrounding uses. When we go through our analysis, we make sure that it does fit with the comprehensive plan and city codes. And so those are important decisions when it goes to the Planning Commission and City Council. We also work proactively on new ordinances, code amendments, long-range planning projects, and special projects. And now I'll talk to you about some of those. So this first one is really a very important, one of our most important efforts in the City of Coeur d'Alene that we're working on, and this is to create an urban and infill housing ordinance to encourage infill development in the already developed areas of the city, and also to make sure that new development is compatible with existing development. Since infill development often is slightly higher intensities and it might look a little bit different, it is really critical that we get it right. So we want to encourage opportunities for new development because it's so critical in an area like ours. Our city is landlocked largely. And so we know that there's going to be a continued interest and pressures for growth. And so we need to create some workable and creative solutions to how to make that happen effectively. And so we are forming a committee of experts. We're involving some builders, architects, property owners, representatives from NIBCA and the Realtors Association to help us come up with what is the best fit for Coeur d'Alene for this urban and infill housing. And the thing, as you can see on this slide, is they call it this missing middle. And so it's everything that's in between single-family detached and kind of the mid-rise apartments. And so more of kind of the townhouses and cottage cluster, and even a house that looks like a house, a single-family house, but maybe it's a 4-unit complex. And so really trying to figure out how to make that work effectively. And it's kind of a lot of the housing product types you'll see in our more established neighborhoods. So we're trying to repeat that, kind of go back to the more of the historical ways. Infill development is, as I mentioned, really important, and we will be addressing that with our comprehensive plan update, which I'll speak about in a few minutes. So next is East Sherman revitalization, and this has been a major effort of the Planning Department and CDA 2030 since 2015. East Sherman is recognized as an important gateway into our city, and our community members have recognized that it needs a little extra love and attention. So we have engaged thousands of community members. I'm sure most of you have been involved in some of the efforts. We've been doing a lot with the community master planning effort. To date, we have had close to 7,000 interactions with community members, and that's through all the workshops and surveys and events, things that have been happening, really trying to engage community members to figure out, let's get this right when we come up with a revitalization plan. We also have over 350 people signed up to receive newsletter and project updates. So on this slide, you can see some of the design ideas and redevelopment ideas that have come out of those community meetings, and also branding for the corridor that came out of not only the meetings and workshops, but also a design charrette that happened in 2018. So in 2018, we had our largest attendance at our Parking It on Sherman event. It drew close to 1,800 people, which is the largest number to date. The event also included something unique. We did this year an Activate East Sherman pilot project. And that, you can see on the screen, kind of along with all the people having fun, you can see some of those components. So artistic crosswalk, the curb extensions or curb bulb outs as you call it, so you can shorten the crossing distance, some landscaping features, benches. We added the diagonal parking on the south side of the street and a parklet in front of Moontime for additional outdoor seating. So those are all great features. The pilot project was made possible from generous donations, volunteer hours, and support from the local businesses, as well as multiple city departments to make that happen. We did a survey, and we had 524 people participated, so that was great. We asked them what they liked, and if they highly or strongly supported or strongly disagreed with any of these components for the pilot project. So we had 80% of the respondents were extremely supportive of the pilot project and the components. We had about 10% combined of strongly disagreed or disagreed. Only a handful of people that told us to kick rocks, and one person that said we should come up with some better ideas because we weren't creative at all. But overall, we are very pleased with the response and the reaction of our community members, the residents, and the businesses, and we look forward to seeing East Sherman revitalized. And speaking of that, we are on the final stretch. I know it feels like a marathon. We've been working on this a long time, and all of you are ready. The businesses and staff are excited to be nearing completion. So we're going to be monitoring the pilot project through the winter when we have snow, see how it performs. We are finishing kind of the components of the master plan. We'll bring that to our leadership committee. We have 29 people on that. Bring it to Planning Commission and Council for their support, hopefully blessing, and we'd like to get that adopted in the first quarter, hopefully, of 2019, and then we'll start working in earnest on amending the zoning code to make those changes a reality. And as part of that, too, it's really critical that we can identify funding opportunities, incentives, and partnerships. So that'll also be rolled in with the master plan. The next project that is really exciting, Atlas Waterfront, is being referred to as a once and forever opportunity. This exciting project is a partnership with the City of Coeur d'Alene and Ignite CDA. And the primary goal is to dedicate the waterfront to the public in perpetuity and to allow for mixed-use development project to be developed. So this last year, the city purchased the property and worked closely with Ignite to create a new urban renewal district, the Atlas District, and to expand the existing lake and river districts to help fund the improvements. The design will be refined in 2019 and development standards will be developed. Shoreline restoration and stabilization, as well as enhancement of the open space, will also be taking place in 2019, and then we would expect to see some development in 2020 and 2021. So the comprehensive plan is a huge effort for this city and very exciting as well. So we started this in 2018. We were gearing it up. We are really working hard with our partners at CDA 2030 to not only update the comprehensive plan, but also to do a vision validation and update the implementation plan. And we are ready to launch the effort in full force in 2019. So what is a comprehensive plan? It's a 20-year guide for growth of a city. And so it's not only kind of its own plan, but it also includes other departments' plans. So it addresses the needs for infrastructure, for services, for facilities. The Planning Commission and the City Council use it to evaluate and to approve development projects. The state mandates that cities do this, and there's 17 topics that have to be included. So we're not only going to include those 17, but we're also going to include some that are more important and more localized to the City of Coeur d'Alene. So things that we're going to be addressing in addition are things like infill development, view corridors, historic preservation, and health and water quality of Lake Coeur d'Alene, as well as other topics. And we are also making sure that we want to recognize the community's vision for the future. So that is why this is such an important project. We don't do it in a vacuum. We need to hear from you. So we want to make sure that we do that, and that helps us establish the top priorities for implementation. And the comprehensive plan, it will cover the years 2020 to 2040. As I mentioned, it's a 20-year guide. So this meme of King Tut, I really like it. And while it's funny, it actually speaks some truth. So a comprehensive plan, it really is like setting your own destiny. You set the stage and you establish the priorities for a 20-year time frame, and then you make things happen. So many communities, they use theirs as a strategic plan, and so what they can do with that is they can identify priority projects for each of the years, especially within kind of a 5-year time frame, and also allocate funding appropriately. So this shows you this creative thing that we've been working on closely with CDA 2030 and our Coeur d'Alene Association of Realtors and Planning Commission members. We wanted to make sure that the comprehensive plan update is interesting and exciting, kind of like the Sherman one has been. We want people to be engaged and excited, and so we've worked to brand this. We've called it the Envision Coeur d'Alene with the tagline, "Your voice, our future." So we've heard from a few community members, Jimmy McKenders, that comprehensive plan update is not super sexy. Like, who wants to get involved? What does that even sound like? It sounds really boring. It's just like a document. So we took heed. We involved Jimmy and others in this process, and we were excited about what this looks like. And what we wanted to do, too, is, again, it's kind of merging this effort with CDA 2030, our community visioning group. So it really is important that we hear from our community members. We are finalizing the scope of work, and we're building an innovative approach to community engagement. The goal is really to involve not only those of you who are always involved, but also people that aren't normally involved, those with kids, those who can't come to all the meetings, and so we're really trying to create a platform for doing that. It will also include, it'll be a living document, and we want to make sure it's innovative and that it also has a future land use plan that we can vet for economic viability and impact. So again, thank you to the Coeur d'Alene Association of Realtors and the National Association of Realtors for funding this design and branding effort and for being part of that creative process. We look forward to working with them on this successful project. So this is my challenge and request of each of you. Call to action. We really need your voice to help guide our future. So I want each of you to be involved and to help spread the word. It really will be a fun and interactive process, and it is super important to our community, especially if you don't like seeing the impacts of growth. You can help guide growth. Before I introduce Councilmember Kiki Miller, I just want to take a few minutes to thank the mayor for inviting me to be part of this panel and for recognizing women leaders in our community. I appreciate the mayor's leadership and support for planning efforts, including East Sherman, Atlas Waterfront, urban and infill housing, and the comprehensive plan. I wanted to thank Gynii Gilliam for her participation on the East Sherman leadership team, Councilmember Amy Evans for her participation on the East Sherman leadership team and the Health Corridor Urban Land Institute TAP effort, and Councilmember Kiki Miller for her leadership role in the Atlas Waterfront community and involvement process, and as well as the Performing Arts Center feasibility study, and for pulling together a blue ribbon panel. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Councilmember Miller. Kiki has been a Coeur d'Alene resident since 1975. She has owned Kagi Company Incorporated, a local marketing, publication, and promotions firm since 1992. She has served as a Coeur d'Alene Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, as a Safe Passage Board member, and has been named Volunteer of the Year for both Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls Chambers. She also received the Sir Optimus Woman of the Year honors and has volunteered or been appointed to several leadership roles for numerous organizations and nonprofits, as well as managing several area events. She is a tireless community advocate, hosting homestays for athletes, actors, students, and speakers, as well as volunteering and supporting fundraising efforts for local schools and nonprofits. She is serving her second term as a Coeur d'Alene City Council member. She and her husband have one son, a Lake City High School graduate who attends a musical conservatory theater school in New York City.
Thank you. Great presentation. Good morning. Thanks for being here. And I would like to thank Mayor Widmyer for his astute observation that more women in leadership roles need to be at the podium, and I truly appreciate the opportunity. One other thing that I want to go off script with is mentioning the slide that he presented. In the late 70s, my job was working at Baskin & Robbins, and so Steve Jobs' quote about making people happy versus being in public service, I'm starting to question a few of my career choices. As you've heard, growth is inevitable, and it makes our community the dynamic and thriving place that it is. And how we manage growth as a council kind of reflects on how great our community can be. The City of Coeur d'Alene administration and staff are meeting the challenge of stepping up to meet the challenge of that growth. In this past year alone, the 4-story downtown parking garage was opened, which will continue to help make our downtown the unique and thriving place that it is. With the Memorial Plaza and the ongoing restoration of the iconic grandstand, along with a really super cool, and if Woody was here, I'd have to quote him and say, bitchin', skate park, it's been decades in the making that have created new additional community treasures that will be enjoyed for generations to come. Our library saw over 245,000 visits in this last fiscal year, and there's been a consistent increase in the Lake City High School Public Library since it opened in 2016. A unique service that benefits our citizens, our lake, and our environment is the annual Leaf Fest. The street department crews hauled over 726 loads for a total of 2,250 tons of leaves during the fall of 2018. This is interesting because it's more than a 30% increase over the average year, and this was all accomplished in 10 working days. These leaves are shredded and then at our compost facility and then spread on the county's airport acreage. So, speaking of the compost plant, this year also saw the expansion of this city facility. In addition, the city started a pilot program, I think this is just so cool, where citizens were able to pick up free Coeur de Green. This is a fertilizer that's used by the Parks Department and is derived from biosolids treated at the compost facility. And this is just an example of a way that the city utilizes new procedures and technology to repurpose its resources. Other departments use new technology and methods as well. The fire department is currently testing a public safety drone program that could save lives and dollars with the ability to have advanced visual information relayed from an emergency call. And our police department is in regular training. They're including things this last year like incorporating new data for risk assessment teams that can help identify potential school or other public facility shooters before they act. As a council member, I feel it's critical to continue to encourage this proactive approach to public safety. As Hilary mentioned, on the Atlas Waterfront project, I had the opportunity to work with her, and when there was a city vacancy, I stepped in to assure that there was a creation of extensive public outreach and communication for this important project. There's a tab on the city website that will direct you to the Atlas log. This is a chronological set of links to news articles, public meetings, minutes, and other information tracking the progress and status of the project to date. And again, a special thanks to staff and Amy Ferguson for keeping that log current and available to the public. Another project Hilary mentioned was the Performing Arts Center feasibility study. This was an Ignite-funded study, and it was led by CDA 2030, and they oversaw a consultant who was assessing building an arts center in Coeur d'Alene. When it was completed, we convened a blue ribbon panel to address any missing information. An additional goal that came out of this was to collect results along with other similar impact studies that other organizations in the community have done and make them available for use by any organization, and this would hopefully avoid a little redundancy, work, or expense for the community. These links are on the city website now. So, in addition to the larger citywide projects I'll continue to work on, for the near future, I hope to see more involvement with School District 271 to assure the ability to place public libraries in schools as they are built or remodeled. The opening of the Lake City Public Library at the Lake City High School was a daring first for the state of Idaho and has been very successful. This partnership allows the library to be open to the public after school hours, weekends, and in the summer without creating the need for additional buildings and with minimal increases in staff or library materials or books. The existing community library network transportation infrastructure can circulate already owned materials to all corners of our community where schools exist. These kinds of projects utilize tax dollars in a way that gets citizens the biggest bang for the buck and don't duplicate services that others can or are doing. I grew up in a family of little means. These synergies are something I'm passionate about, and I'm kind of hardwired to seek out. So let me mention quickly a couple other in the same vein. As long as Bill Greenwood doesn't do this, I'm okay. The Kootenai Dog Park Association has an opportunity to help push forward a water dog park on city-owned waterfront property on Blackwell Island, or add to the Atlas Waterfront project or other river property. Some of these sites require very little improvements. They bother no neighbors and can give our furry friends a safe and legal place to enjoy a summer dip. I'd also like to see a non-motorized watercraft and ADA accessible lane and launch entering at the 3rd Street boat launch, then running along Tubbs Hill shoreline, and again possibly incorporated into the Atlas Waterfront project. This would require minimal infrastructure or supplies, and it would allow access for all boaters and paddlers in a much safer way. And to facilitate a better understanding of how the city works and current activities that affect our residents, I'd also like to see improved communication through our website and media channels. Now, I've not been deeply involved in politics throughout my career, but for over 35 years, I have been extremely active in the community in multiple business and organizational leadership roles. This led me to run for city council when I saw a need for common sense, well-informed local leadership in a nonpartisan office. And there's room for you too. If not in an elected capacity, then there are dozens of committees and boards that need your insightful leadership, including the projects I just mentioned, as well as the lengthy list that the mayor showed at the beginning of this address. One other thing we've talked about today is the problems facing our community in transportation. This is an area I think all elected officials need to prioritize. Recently, the Kootenai Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is a federally mandated group that ensures continuous cooperative transportation planning, has advertised open seats on their citizens review panels with limited input, and vacancies still remain. The Arts Commission continues to expand its mission, and the comprehensive plan process, as you heard from Hilary, absolutely relies on citizen input. There are many foundations, review panels, and even one-time city events that administration and staff need your input for. They're a great place to start. You're becoming involved, and I encourage you to do so. I'd like to thank the great staff and the many appointed committee members and commissioners at the City of Coeur d'Alene. They just continue to take on more and more with a professional and diligent work ethic that we can all be proud of. Thanks again, and I'm wishing you all a healthy and happy 2019. So it's now, oh, you can applaud me. That was Bill Greenwood's table. Thank you. I didn't get that. It's my honor to introduce my fellow City Council member, Amy Evans. Amy is a community activist with boundless energy and a strong commitment to promoting healthy growth while preserving the quality of life in Coeur d'Alene. Amy has spent countless hours over the years dedicating her talents to a variety of local causes. She served 6 years on the city's planning commission, was an integral part of the team of volunteers who helped save a historic downtown elementary school, was a key player in a membership drive that attracted more than 16,000 people to the Lake City's Croc Community Center. Amy is well known for her tireless efforts on community projects and dedication to education with 2 children of her own who attended Coeur d'Alene Public Schools. She brings that same enthusiasm and focus to the Coeur d'Alene City Council, a position she pursued because of her passion to help shape a vibrant future. Amy is steadfast in her commitment to creating good jobs, supporting a top-rate educational system, and providing optimum recreational opportunities. She is the North Idaho Regional Director for the Idaho Youth Ranch and is serving her 2nd term on the Coeur d'Alene City Council. Help me welcome Amy Evans.
Good morning. What an honor to be standing before you. I'm proud to have the opportunity to serve in a community that empowers and supports one another. Mayor Widmyer, Ron, Kiki, Woody, Dan, and the city staff and volunteer members of our various 16 committees and commissions are one tireless, enthusiastic, and passionate team working together to make Coeur d'Alene the best it can be, the city of excellence. You guys are gonna have to excuse me, I'm battling a terrible head cold, so let's just hope I can keep my coughing at bay. We work hard and with civility to ensure our community is safe, financially strong, and vibrant to all. My responsibility is to empower and encourage our city team to do what they are best at, make sure they have the tools that are needed and they are supported to move our community forward. The legendary basketball coach, Phil Jackson, said, "The strength of a team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team." This team, with help from all of you, has had an amazing year of accomplishments. In addition to what the mayor, Gynii, Hilary, and Kiki have mentioned, I couldn't be prouder to share the following with you. I'm going to start with our Parks Department. Our Parks Department maintains 587 acres that include 30 parks and 210 acres of natural open space, with 39 miles of pedestrian and bike trails and 9 miles of hiking trails. With the help of Woody's enthusiasm and perseverance, they had a huge year with the successful grand opening of the skate park, which attracts dozens of youth and families every day. Don't we have the most attractive wastewater treatment plant ever? Not sure about the best smelling, but definitely the most attractive. We each produce about 66 pounds of waste each year. That translates into over 3 million pounds of solids every year at the treatment plant. Yes, I'm the lucky one who got this slide. With our new treatment membranes, we are successfully removing all of those solids. That's right, 0 pounds are going into our river. Those solids are removed from water and through anaerobic digestion and composting and are transformed into more than 4,000 cubic yards of Class A exceptional quality compost, which is exactly what Kiki mentioned earlier. Our fire department. In an ever-changing world, your fire department strives to keep up with the current needs. Working with the city police department, they have established a rescue task force, which is used in case of an active shooter situation. This program is proven to save lives, as fire and police work side by side to get injured individuals immediate life-saving efforts and move them where definitive care can be given. It is a specialized skill and needs specialized equipment, which has been supported through grants. This is an example of your public safety departments working together as a team and going above and beyond to assure your safety. Our police department has been busy this year. They participated in Holidays and Heroes. A total of 131 families had a Christmas due to their efforts. Not only did they receive presents, they also provided clothing and a Christmas dinner. Led by Sergeant Shane Everett, they conducted the annual Children's Hospital Toy Drive. Approximately $20,000 worth of new toys were collected and distributed to area children's hospitals. Our police department sent officers to the Women Leaders in Law Enforcement Conference to provide leadership training specifically geared towards women in public safety roles and help develop those with leadership or supervisory aspirations. While doing all this, they also managed to respond to 43,000 calls for services in 2018. Our finance department, they restructured and added a full-time accountant to keep up with the growth occurring in our city, while decreasing the total annual budget for the department. In public art, where do we start? We have 111 major pieces of art in our very diverse public art collection, including sculptures, statues, bike racks, utility box art, an arch, some water features, and roundabout art. We have the upcoming dedication of at least 2 additional major public art pieces this year. Inspired by artist Jason Sanchez, will be installed in the newly redesigned Memorial Park, and Swimming with Friends and Soaring with Friends in the Celtice Way roundabouts. These are by artist David Boyer, and they'll be anticipated to be installed in May or June. We have mapping of all of our public art on our website. So this is an opportunity for citizens to sit at their desk or grab a bike and take the tour. And you can find that map at the website right there, maps.cdaid.org/art. We also have a map called Current Projects. Have you ever driven by a spot and said, what is going in there? Well, now you can find that at your fingertips. You can go to maps.cda.org/projects, and it will have a listing of all the current projects happening in the city. Our legal team had a busy year. Our civil office was an essential part of the team that worked to acquire the Atlas Mill waterfront property. The prosecutor's office worked with the police department, the Idaho State Police Forensics Bureau, and the state courts to ensure the safety, welfare, and protection of our citizens and victims of crime. Our prosecutors work at the highest levels within the state to protect and support victims of domestic violence. They also continue to work with municipal services to ensure public safety through accurate background checks for licensed applicants. The water department successfully completed planned improvements to the northeast zone with pressure enhancements to our city water system. The improvements included the construction of a new booster station at Best Hill. This resulted in approximately 119 homes and businesses seeing a nice increase in pressure. In 2018, Human Resources worked in partnership with every department in the city to interview, test, hire, and or train the best employees. We have accepted over 1,300 applications and hired 115 benefited and seasonal employees to fill vacancies throughout the year. The city continues to successfully recruit and retain employees with a low turnover rate of less than 4%, with an average year of service of 11 years. As you just heard, the hard work by our city team is not only moving us forward, it's addressing the specific needs of our growing community. We are a vibrant, attractive, generous, active, and caring community. We are truly the best city ever. You deserve the best we can offer, a city that collaborates together to ensure future generations have a strong community that respects and values one another, prioritizes public safety, is financially secure, is visionary, has a strong infrastructure to support our growing population, and is flexible and brave enough to seize opportunities to build vibrant public space. from securing new waterfront access to reimagining the potential of older and well-loved areas of town. I am so fortunate to be part of this team and have the support to do so from my family, my friends, and my community. I'd like to leave you with a quote from my father-in-law, who shared with me the value and impact of serving our community. Together we can work as a team to create a future that is strong. I encourage us all to continue to do our part to leave the woodpile higher than we found it. Thank you.
So when I started this, I wanted to have everyone remember something about today's speech, and today I will remember 66 pounds of waste annually. So thank you, Amy, for that. So I wanted to thank Gynii and Hilary and Kiki and Amy, tremendous women leaders in our community, and give them a round of applause. As we talked about at the beginning today, the strength of our community is our people, that we genuinely care for the well-being of each other. And a big part of this is that we honor and we respect all women. We encourage and we value their leadership, and we live that respect every day. We just don't talk about it, we live it, and we will be, the city of Coeur d'Alene will be an example of other cities to follow. Late last year, our country lost a true American hero in George Herbert Walker Bush. A combat hero, an incredible family man, and a true statesman. In his inaugural address, he said, "We cannot hope to leave our children a bigger car or a bigger bank account. We must hope to give them a sense of what it means to be a loyal friend, a loving parent, a citizen who leaves his home, his neighborhood, and town better than he found it." That's what I work for every day. I believe that you do too. And thank you for all you do for the city of Coeur d'Alene.